Subscribe now, if you're brave enough to keep watching, because what happened in this house was caught on camera and no one can explain it. By the time the police arrived, Camille Ardant was already outside. She sat on the cold concrete steps of her new home, arms wrapped around her legs, staring at the front door like it might open on its own. Her bare feet were dirty, her hands shaking uncontrollably. She hadn't screamed when she called emergency services. She hadn't cried either. Her voice had been flat, almost calm, which worried the dispatcher more than panic ever could. "I think something is still inside," she had said. Camille had only lived in the house for 2 weeks, a quiet street outside Lyon. Fresh paint, new locks, a clean break from her old job working overnight security shifts where she'd learned how easily darkness could play tricks on the mind. Or so she thought. Inside the house, nothing looked disturbed. No broken windows, no forced entry. The lights were on. The furniture was neatly arranged. It looked like the kind of place where nothing bad ever happened. That's what made it worse. Camille explained everything slowly, like she was afraid the words themselves might bring it back. It started with small things, footsteps when she was alone, a stereo turning on by itself in the middle of the night, objects not being where she left them. Things that could almost be explained away, almost, so she installed cameras. 2 of them, one in the kitchen, one pointed down the narrow hallway that led to a locked basement door she had never opened. The realtor told her the previous owner used it for storage. The key was lost. Camille didn't question it. She didn't want to, until earlier that night. At exactly 2 a.m., she woke up to a sound she recognized instantly. Not the house settling, not pipes, not the wind. Footsteps, slow, careful, like someone who didn't want to be heard. She checked the camera feed on her phone. The kitchen was empty. The hallway looked normal, except the basement door was no longer fully shut. It was open, just a few inches. Camille hadn't touched it. As she watched, the hallway camera flickered. Just for a second. When the image returned, the door was open wider, and something else had changed. The basement doorknob looked warm. Not glowing, not steaming, just wrong. Like it had recently been held. That's when Camille ran outside and called the police. Standing in her living room now, one of the officers replayed the footage on the monitor. The hallway feed showed the door, the rug, the stillness of an empty house. Then the timestamp hit 2:03 a.m. The camera glitched again. When it stabilized, the basement door creaked open. Cold air rushed up the stairs in real life, as if responding to the video. The officer stepped closer and unlocked the door. The basement beyond was narrow, unfinished and darker than it should have been. Wooden stairs descended into a concrete space that smelled damp and old. At the bottom of the stairs stood a tall mirror, not mounted, not stored. Standing upright, facing the steps, Camille's breath caught in her throat. That mirror wasn't there before. The officer raised his flashlight. The beam hit the glass, and for just a moment, so fast it could have been missed, the reflection showed something that wasn't in the room. A person standing directly behind him. The officer spun around. Nothing. They rewound the footage frame by frame. And that's when they saw it clearly. The reflection appeared before the basement door opened, as if whatever was down there had already been standing in the hallway, watching. The police stayed for another hour, long enough to convince themselves that nothing physical was hiding in the house. No intruder. No signs of forced entry. No explanation that fit cleanly inside a report. When they finally left, they advised Camille to stay with a friend and promised to have the footage reviewed by a technician. Camille didn't go anywhere. She told herself it was stubbornness, that fear didn't get to decide where she slept. But the truth sat heavier in her chest. If she left, whatever had shown itself in the mirror would still be there when she came back, waiting. She moved a chair into the living room and kept the lights on. The cameras stayed active. The monitor glowed like a small, fragile shield. At 3:11 a.m., the kitchen camera captured the stereo switching on by itself. Not loud, not dramatic, just a low, steady hum, as if someone had tuned it carefully to be heard without waking the neighbors. Camille didn't touch the volume. She didn't move at all. She watched the monitor, fingers digging into the fabric of the chair. At 3:12 a.m., the hallway camera showed a shadow pass across the basement door. Not a full body, just a distortion in the light, like something tall had crossed in front of the lens and kept going. The door didn't open. The knob didn't turn. The shadow simply arrived, then left. Camille replayed it 3 times, slower each time. On the 4th replay, the shadow didn't appear. Her stomach dropped. She scrubbed back again. The timestamp changed, but the shadow never returned. It was like the footage had rewritten itself. By morning, exhaustion had dulled her fear into something colder, determined. She called the realtor. Then the previous owner's name came up, an older woman who had died alone years earlier. No family. No visitors. The house had sat empty longer than anyone admitted. When Camille went to shower, she ticed the mirror, fogging unevenly. A large handprint bloomed on the glass beside her own reflection, too big. Fingers too long. She didn't scream. She took a picture. The image saved itself, then vanished from her phone. That afternoon, Camille found the cross again, the same symbol etched into the back of the painting. This time, she noticed scratches in the hallway wall near the basement door, half hidden by old paint. The same shape, repeated, marked. At dusk, her friend Elise arrived, bringing food, laughter that sounded forced, and the courage that comes from not having seen what Camille had. They watched the footage together, the missing shadow, the changing timestamps, the mirror. Elise stopped smiling. "That reflection," she said quietly, "it's not reacting to the light, it's anticipating it." They didn't go near the basement, not until the house made the decision for them. At 9:48 p.m., every light flickered. At 9:49, the hallway camera tilted downward by itself, like someone had adjusted it carefully. At 9:50, the basement door unlocked. Camille and Elise stood frozen in the living room, listening as something descended the stairs, slow, measured steps, each one placed like it was counting. Then silence. The hallway camera went black. The kitchen feed remained. On it, reflected faintly in the oven door, was the shape of a person standing just out of frame. Tall, still, facing the living room. Elise grabbed Camille's arm. "We need to leave, now." They reached the front door together. It wouldn't open. From the hallway, a soft sound drifted toward them. Not footsteps this time. Breathing, close enough to feel. On the living room monitor, the hallway feed flickered back to life. The basement mirror was gone. In its place, the camera showed the top of the stairs, and someone standing there, looking directly into the lens, smiling. Camille doesn't remember unlocking the front door. Later, when the police asked how she and Elise got outside, she couldn't answer. One moment, they were trapped in the living room, breath caught in their throats watching the monitor. The next, they were standing on the sidewalk under the street lamp, the house dark behind them like it had gone to sleep. The screen inside kept playing. That was what the neighbor saw when he looked through the front window. After hearing the alarm, Camille's phone finally managed to send. The house was empty, but the monitor still glowed in the living room, showing the hallway camera, showing the stairs, showing someone standing there. By the time the police arrived again, the cameras had shut themselves off. This time, the officers took the house seriously. They brought in technicians, inspectors, people who specialized in unexplained structural issues. The basement was searched from top to bottom. Concrete walls, old pipes, nothing hidden, no secret rooms, no tunnels, no place for a mirror to disappear into. But they did find something else. Scratched deeply into the concrete behind where the mirror had stood were words, layered over each other like they'd been written again and again by different hands. Don't open, don't watch, don't invite. Camille moved out the next day. She stopped sleeping in quiet rooms. She stopped using mirrors unless she had to. Elise refused to talk about that night at all, except once, weeks later, when she admitted something she had never said out loud. When the door wouldn't open, Elise whispered, eyes fixed on her coffee cup. I saw it too, not on the monitor, in the reflection of the window. Camille didn't ask what it looked like. She already knew. The footage was reviewed, archived, then quietly dismissed. No proof. No explanation. The official report called it stress, faulty equipment, coincidence, and layered on coincidence until fear filled in the gaps. But the house didn't stay empty. A year later, a new owner moved in. And 3 nights after that, at exactly 2:03 a.m., a security camera captured something standing at the end of the hallway, motionless, patient, facing a basement door that hadn't been opened yet. The timestamp glitched. The figure raised its hand and knocked. If this story haunted you, the next one might not let you sleep. Subscribe if you dare.